On your left.
Thanks for the ride, Uncle
Now,
Ben.
wait a minute, Peter. We need to talk anymore. You shirk your chores. You have all those weird experiments in your room. You start fights at school.
I didn't start that fight. I told you that.
Well, you sure as hell finished.
What was I supposed to do? Run away?
No, you're not supposed to run away. But Pete, look, you're changing. I know. I went through exactly the same thing at your age.
No, not exactly.
Peter, these are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into. This guy Flash Thompson, he probably deserved what happened. But just because you can be doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Peter! Peter!
Peter!
Peter!
Assemble. I am inevitable. And I am Iron Man.
I just love that intro. Hello, welcome to another episode of Marvelous Discussions. And as we continue to get ready for Loki Season 2, it's time to review another Thor movie, Thor the Dark World. This one is known to be one of the not so great movies of the MCU. But is it as bad as we all say it is? Is the hate over exaggerated? Or is it perfectly justified? And today I bring on my regular Marvel partner in crime, Socks Bulletin. How are you today? Well,
Hey guys, can you all hear
oh,
me?
there you are. Yes, perfectly. How are you doing today, Socks?
Boy.
Oh, just heard you. I just heard. Well, I heard something. I just heard that groan. So
You can hear me just fine now?
yeah. I can hear you fine now.
how
So
am I? All right. Hey guys, welcome back to a new episode of Marvel's Discussion. Me and Bat Dan will be talking about Thor: The Dark World.
yeah, and I can't wait. I can't because this is a movie that gets so much hate. Like when people think of one of the worst Thor movies, they think of Thor: The Dark World. Even though I honestly, after watching this, I still think it's better than Ragnarok and it's definitely better than Love and Thunder.
It is better than Love and Thunder. I gave it a rewatch the other day, last Tuesday, because I want to refresh my memory on The Dark World. It's not that bad. I didn't even hate it then. I mean, I only had like one issue with this whole film, man. Other than that, this is not a bad movie at all.
There's certain things I had issues with, and we'll actually kind of get into that. But I mean, honestly, compared to, I mean, after seeing both Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, I mean, I think this one, I think it's a Thanos meme that says, "Perhaps I judge you too harshly." That's how I feel about Love and Thunder right now. Or not Love and Thunder. Oh my god, no, not Love and Thunder. That's how I feel about Dark World right now.
But Ragnarok?
Yeah, Ragnarok, not one of my favorites either. But we'll talk about Ragnarok next week. We'll get more into that. But I guess right now for Dark World, starting off with this time I put these characters together because one thing I'll kind of say with the Dark World is that a lot of the returning characters I felt like were kind of just in the movie to be in the movie. And I kind of feel this way about Eric Selvig, Darcy, and then I guess the new character, the intern. I guess you can start, Sax. What are your thoughts on these characters in the movie?
Well, I was glad to see Jane Foster come back. I was glad to see Eric come back. There's reasons why I could see Jane back, Eric back, and even Darcy. But as for the intern, it was like he didn't even need to be there. He could have just been like they could have did that whole banter between Jane and Darcy all together without even him there. He was just like a fill-in character just to be there. He didn't really serve any real purpose in the film. The intern. Okay.
Yeah, he was pointless. He was completely pointless in that movie.
But I did like seeing Eric back, and because without him, they wouldn't have been able to solve the whole crisis with the convergence, and then Jane had to do her thing with it. So there was a reason for them to, and even Darcy, I can see her as the slapstick comedy part of the whole film, which I had no problem with it. But like you said, the intern was meaningless. He didn't need to be there. It was just a fill spot.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, the way I feel about Eric Selvig, he didn't need to be there in the first two acts. I feel like they gave him such pointless comedic roles in the first two acts just so it wouldn't be awkward when they brought him in the third act.
Well, I think the reason why they kind of did that, because remember, he was still dealing with being mind controlled by Loki in the Avengers film. It's just funny, I guess. But it's just how
and again, I got what they were going for, but I don't know, it's still also it kind of showed Shield being kind of dicks, honestly. It's like this happened to him while as a duty working for Shield, and you think Shield would be taking care of him right now, but it's like they fired him after that, it seems like.
Yeah, they basically said, here's your last check, get the hell out of the building.
Dang it, I don't know if they officially said anywhere in canon that he was fired, but that's what it seems like happened, or he quit. One of the two.
Right. It's weird like that because when you make a multiversal connected franchise, and you're working on your film, you gotta write in certain things that happened in the previous film into your story, and you gotta try to make it look like it's really fully connected and not all over the place, which is not exactly easy to do.
Yeah, see, I think that's kind of like the general issue with Phase 2 compared to Phase 1 is that Phase 1 didn't really have to worry about that as much. Phase 1, each superhero had their own movie, and then Avengers is what brought them together. Now that Avengers happens, now they have to reference these other characters, and we'll get more into that as we get into certain other topics of the film. But Eric Selvig, they have to give him this trauma for Loki. And I guess my main issue with Eric Selvig's story arc is that it's one of those things that I wish they either explored more or didn't explore at all. I think my issue is that they kind of have it happen and then they don't really do anything within the third act. It's like because there was so much going on. And it just that's what I'm saying. Like with Eric Selvig, it felt like that's why I'm saying like they just had him go through that stuff, those random scenes in the first two acts, just so the third act he could be there and it not be awkward. Because really, he didn't have any purpose until the third act.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, Darcy. Yeah, she.
But it was cool to see him in the nut house where he's using the shoes to explain the convergence, and we get to see a great Stan Lee cameo, which I enjoy that always.
Yeah, I'll admit that was kind of funny, especially for that Stan Lee cameo. Stan Lee's cameos are always great, and that was another good one too. I'll say that I did enjoy. At least it got us a good cameo, but Darcy definitely did not. It felt kind of pointless though in that movie. It definitely felt like she was mostly there to be there and to randomly hook up with the intern.
That was right, and she's basically the slapstick character, the whole Thor films altogether, especially the first two.
Yeah, it's nothing really. Yeah, nothing really too much with these characters. They were just kind of okay. I did like Eric Selvig's return in the third act, but they were pretty pointless in general, especially the intern. Definitely the intern. So I guess do you have anything else to say about these characters?
No.
Okay. Then let's move on to Thor's Friends and a new one. And I'll kind of say this right now. Thanks to Zachary Levi's stupid antics on social media lately, it kind of made me look at his character, the character that he played. I forgot the name of the character he wrote. I know his character's in the last movie, just not played by him. But I can't. He ruined that character for me now. Thanks to his stupid handle, you said? This is why I have the Marvel guy on my channel. Fandle?
Yes, Fandle.
Okay. Yeah, because of Zachary Levi's stupid Twitter stuff and his stupid Instagram posts begging us to see Shazam 2. I know, it's like it kind of ruined Fandle for me because I'm looking at him and I just see that stupid guy begging for his career like a dog. And I know you shouldn't do that. I know you shouldn't do that with the actors because you should separate the art from the artist. But they also have to be a really good actor for me to do that. And he's just not that great of an actor for me to do that. So, but overall, it's kind of the same. Honestly, at least in my opinion. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying, Sox?
Deal with something like that. I'm gonna refresh real quick, Matt. Then.
Okay.
I can barely hear you.
Okay, so anyway, I guess to get back to my character, to get back to what I was saying, I guess with Zachary Levi, just not that great of an actor, not that great of a. Also, hold on, let me just check real quick to make sure. Okay, so just had to actually just watch this video from like 2 seconds ago to make sure the issue wasn't on my end. Yeah, so I guess yeah, thanks to Zachary Levi, just I look at Fandle, I'm just looking at him and he's just yeah. Yeah, I just see Zachary Levi and again, it's kind of the same thing with like guess there's 3 sockses now. I'm gonna remove this socks from the I'm gonna remove this socks from the studio. I'm gonna bring this socks on the studio. Hey
Okay.
socks.
Now I hear you better. Here we go.
Okay. So
Okay. Now this is a better. Oy.
yeah, Loki's already messing with the stream.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just how that goes.
Yeah, so but basically I kind of feel like with Thor's friends, it's kind of very similar to Eric Selvig, Darcy, and Darcy. It's like the characters from the last movie, they didn't really have as much of a purpose to be in this movie. I mean, yeah, it was definitely cool seeing how they helped Thor and Loki escape. I thought that was cool. But I guess what's your overall thoughts on these 4 characters?
I was kind of hoping there would have been a little bit more issue with. Well, I agree. I absolutely agree. I was just, it's gonna sound silly, but I was kind of hoping there would have been like a little bit of an issue between Jane Foster and Lady Sif, because Lady Sif loves Thor. She really loves Thor. So, and there is a bit of a. They were kind of hinting. Well, yeah. Well, Thor has a wandering eye, even in the comics. There should have been a little bit more tension built up between Lady Sif and Jane Foster, because Jane has Thor and Lady Sif wants Thor, and they didn't even go into that. They just like gave each other like these weird little glances, and that was it. I was like, "What? What is that?"
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess to me, I guess CW's kind of ruined that trope for me, so I guess I was just kind of fine to not see that. Seeing 2 girls fight over a man, I'm just like, I'm done that storyline enough times. So I was good that they left that out.
Yeah.
Another case of the DC fan defending Marvel to the Marvel fan. I just love joking about that when that happens. But I get your point, though. I do get your point, especially if you know the comics more. I can see why that would be an issue.
My problem is sometimes I kind of lean a little towards comics a little bit too much, and then someone's gonna pull me back in and tell me it's not the same. Sock, it's the MCU. Bring yourself back over here.
I've done that with DC before too. I get annoyed when things change, so I get it. I get it. But really, there's just again, it's kind of the same thing with Eric and Darcy. There's not really too much to talk about in my opinion with these two, just because they're with these 4 because they're kind of just there. They fight some battles. Again, I still can't look at Fandle the same way thanks to Zachary Levi. But yeah. Although I will say I wouldn't have recognized that was Zachary Levi if I wasn't really paying attention.
I wouldn't recognize it unless someone pointed it out to me. I didn't even realize that was him.
I only knew it was him this time because I knew he was in that movie.
Yeah. Now I have a problem looking at him because I feel the same way you do about the guy.
Yeah, I know. And I know we always say we should always separate the art from the artist, but again, as I said, the art has to at least be good for me to do that. If you're not that great of an actor, it's hard to separate myself from you. So that
the one the supporting characters I thought that did stick out for me in this film was both Odin and Freya, Thor's parents. They really stuck out really well.
Oh yeah, we'll get to them. They'll be topics later on. But I guess do you have anything final to say about Thor's new friends? or Thor's friends.
No, not so much.
Okay. So actually, let's move on to Frigga right now then. So I'll let you start. What did you think about Frigga in this movie?
I hate you, StreamYard, so much.
Okay. So I guess I'll start then. So I guess my opinion with Frigga in this movie is she was definitely a lot more important in this movie than she was in the last movie, in my opinion. Like the last movie, she was just kind of there. This movie, you really see her do a lot more in this movie, which again made sense since, again, spoiler, she dies. They had to kind of make her character a lot more important. And one thing that I like about this character in this movie is that she really you really see what a devoted mother she is, not just to Thor, but to Loki as well. Is that again, Loki is this guy who, in the last time we saw him, Avengers, killed, I think they said 80 people. That was the statistic. He killed hundreds of people because they went to New York. And here's Frigga still trying to be a devoted mom. Still, like she still wants Loki to have responsibility for his actions. That hasn't changed. She's not like, screw you, you're dead to me, but she tries to comfort him. She gives him books to read. She's trying to like help Loki grow, learn, and build from his mistakes. And I guess you have anything to add to that, Socks?
No, I did like seeing Frigga, try to take on the accused. That was the name of the villain that ended up killing her, but and then Malachi. But other than that, I just thought Frigga stood out more than even the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif.
I did too, and I like the way that she put up a good fight. Like the way she was protecting Jane Foster, the way she was getting ready to fight the Dark Elves. It just really shows what a badass character she really was, and she was so much more significant in this movie than she was the last movie, in my opinion. Even though they killed her off halfway through, but you know what's funny though, Socks? This is one of the first Disney movies that for Marvel. So classic Disney, they killed off the mom.
Yeah, she definitely. It was sad to see her die, but I understood why they did that.
Yeah, because Disney owns her, and because Disney owns Marvel now, and Disney does not like moms at all. Yeah, I'm just saying, every Disney movie they kill off the mom. It seems like it's very rare that moms are alive in Disney movies.
I did not even think about that. You had just said it. Frigga, the mother in Black Panther, Aunt May. Well, that's not a mom, but still. Wow, holy crap! I never thought about that.
Yeah, but if you're just saying like other like classic Disney movies too, like you think of like Bambi, the mom dies, and trying to think. I know all these animated movies have their moms die. I just can't think of any off the top of my head right now. I know what happens all the time. But
Never thought
the
about.
point is, yeah, Disney does not like moms. But so I'm just saying it's kind of funny that Frigga dies. But anyway, kind of to a more serious point though, is that she dies like a badass. She dies going out, and it was definitely, and it felt like to me they were definitely trying to build her up a little bit more so that her death would leave more of an impact with the viewers, so that would leave more, so the viewers could sympathize with Thor and Loki a lot more.
You can tell for sure that Loki really cared about her. He didn't really care too much for Odin and didn't even care too much for Thor at one point, but he really cared about his mother.
Well, you know what Lex Luthor said in Batman v Superman? Every boy's special lady is his mother.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's shown right here is that, I mean, Frigga was the one person who really could bind Thor and Loki together. That the one person that Thor and Loki could put aside their differences for. The only person I think that, to me, this, like, that team up only would work with Frigga's death.
But you know the sad thing is when the accused came into that dungeon, he saw all the prisoners, and he looked at Loki. Loki was the one said, "Take the stairs to the left." That led him to his mother.
Yeah, see, I
So
don't know about that. See,
go ahead.
I'm wondering if Loki overestimated Frigga's abilities.
That's a
Like,
good
what I'm
point.
thinking
But
is,
also, I look at it like this because I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh yeah, go on. I wasn't really going to say anything.
The reason why I'm thinking, I don't think he intentionally wanted his mother to get killed. I'm not saying that. But if he didn't tell the accused to go to that staircase, the accused wouldn't have found Freya. And that's what led into the whole situation where she gets killed. If he would have just kept his mouth shut or told him to go somewhere else, she may have still been alive. So he inadvertently had his own mother killed.
Oh, damn. So, didn't think about that. And we'll definitely get into more of that later with Loki, but yeah, with Frigga though, it just shows that, but it shows, I guess, why Loki felt more guilty with her death though, was that Loki was the reason that this happened. So, yeah, that's a really good point. So, hold on a second, I'm gonna get some water. Keep talking.
Hey guys, if you're paying attention, if the internet is acting goofy, I apologize beforehand. StreamYard hates me and it's taking its vengeance out on me, so that's okay. When I get unleashed, I'm going after StreamYard sots and I'm taking those sots. I've had about enough of this. So, yeah, prepare for sots revenge on StreamYard altogether. I'm joking, of course. Don't take me too seriously, just a little bit. Hope everyone's enjoying the chat and enjoying the video. If you get a chance to watch The Dark World, please give it a chance. It's actually a pretty good movie. It's actually really good. But, you know, I enjoy it a
Stream.
lot.
Sorry, I was gonna say, does StreamYard have any socks to steal?
I don't know, but if I ever find out, I'm taking them.
Yeah, but yeah, I think I definitely think they propped up Frigga a lot more in this movie to make her death a lot more significant. But I do like the way that but I really do love what a loving mother she really was to both Thor and Loki in this movie. And the way she was
Thor definitely lost, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, Thor lost a
Thor
lot. I
definitely
mean,
lost a lot more. Yeah. He lost more than his share to me, more than any other Marvel character in the MCU. He lost his mother, his father, his brother, his people, his world. I mean, yeah. His eye, his hand,
yeah,
his love. Yeah.
yeah, and we'll definitely get a lot of Thor sacrifices later. But do you have anything else to say with Frigga?
No, we're good on this.
Okay, so let's move on to Heimdall. To be honest, probably another pointless character in this movie. He was another character who was just, and again, this is what I kind of say a lot with the Dark World, is that a lot of the returning characters aren't as good because they're just there. And Heimdall was another one where he just kind of, the only cool line he really said is when he reported himself for treason to Odin. I thought that was pretty cool.
I don't think Hemdale was pointless in this. Remember, if it wasn't for Hemdale telling Thor he couldn't see Jane Foster, they would have Thor would have never went back to go find her and then get the that stuff out of her. So it had, he did play a major part in this film early on.
Enough. Okay, so he did have an important role in the beginning, so I'll give you that one. But
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, though, he doesn't really do much in this movie, other than to create that exposition for the beginning.
Just only in the beginning part of it. Yeah, that's about it. Sure.
I guess the next character then is How do you say this character's name? Malekith?
You got it. That's it.
Yeah, Malekith. Yeah, I'm so bad at pronunciations, but see, I'll be honest. MCU, their biggest weakness, I think a lot of people agree on, are the villains, and I feel like Malekith is no exception there. My issue with Malekith is his motivation wasn't quite clear to me. Is that I guess he was part of the Dark Elves and he wants to bring just power, basically, is what he wanted with the Infinity. I mean, I know it's not called. I know it's not. Go on.
That was the one. That was the one character that was so flat, so one-dimensional of all the MCU films to me. They really messed that character up, man. Because it was like you don't know his motivation. There's really no motivation here.
Yeah, see, that's I think the biggest issue for me, and I think that's why a lot of people have an issue with Thor: The Dark World, is because the superhero movies need their villains, and when you have a villain with no clear motivation, that can really drag down the movie a lot. And I think this is where the movie is his biggest issue for me, is that what does he want to do? Does he want to take over the world? Does he want to, what was his plan on Earth exactly? Why did he need to? I guess because that's where the convergence was, but what was he going to do with that exactly? He was just causing chaos for Thor. That was his purpose, was to cause chaos for Thor, not to actually like Loki in the last movie, for example. He wanted power. He wanted the throne of Asgard. He had a clear motivation. Loki in Avengers, he wanted to rule Earth while Thanos ruled the rest of the world. He had a clear motivation. Red Skull wanted to win World War II. That was a clear motivation. Hydra in Winter Soldier wanted to take over the world. They wanted power, they wanted control, but where they were going about this made sense. That was a clear motivation and purpose to the motivation. Malekith has none of this. Just get the elixir and whatever he was doing on Earth. I was so confused what was going on with him.
Yeah, he was definitely a one-dimensional flat character. It was real bad the way that he came out, man. It was just black all over on him, man.
Yeah, so honestly, not too much to really say about him, and I think that's kind of a problem because he's the main villain of this movie, and we don't have a lot to say on him.
It's like, and I know the actor that played him was really upset with the MCU how they did his character, and I understand that he was totally right as a character in that story. He got done dirty, and that's one of the guys that played one of the Doctor Who's. I can't remember his name right now, but yeah, that came out wrong.
Yeah, I can see why he was upset though. I mean, because, and let's just see, his Christopher Eccleston. I cannot pronounce that. But I'm sure someone in the comments section can. Yeah, I have no idea.
He only played. He played Doctor Who for like one season, I think. I'm not a Doctor Who fan, but I know he played it for at least one season.
I don't really follow Doctor Who either, but the point is he's a famous actor and he's a deep and he was wasted, it felt like in this movie. Because and you know who another character I didn't like in this movie, honestly? Oh, now I will say I do like the actor Anthony Hopkins. I mean, that voiceover in that Rebel Moon trailer, and yeah, I'll definitely be getting a Rebel
Yeah,
Moon
yeah.
trailer video up at some point this weekend, but Anthony Hopkins is a great actor, but I feel like Odin in this movie was an idiot. In the last movie, he was
Not
a
me.
wise king. Okay, go on.
I liked Odin in this one, especially like the part where Thor brought Jane Foster back to Asgard, and I knew when I saw that there was gonna be a problem right away because humans are not allowed on Asgard, and they're doing that basically that it's right. The, and she's like, he explains who he is right then and there. I was like,
Okay, just say that again. It's like a bunch of sounds just came out of the microphone. What's up, Josh Herrera?
I'll refresh.
Okay, so while you do that, I guess. Oh yeah, I definitely cannot wait for that. I cannot wait. So, Josh, that's Anthony Hopkins' character, right? Jimmy. I guess my biggest issue with with Odin in this movie is that scene that Sox is talking about. I have a huge pet peeve when people don't let characters finish their sentences. And it's like when Thor was trying to tell Odin that there was something in Jane, something not of Earth. It's like, Odin, let Thor finish his damn sentence before you keep talking. You keep cutting him out because you won't listen to him. A wise king should listen once in a while, and you're not doing that. Like, you can't say that someone did something wrong if you don't let them speak. It's you back, Socks?
Yeah, back again.
Okay. So basically what I was saying is I got very annoyed at Odin for cutting Thor off when he was trying to tell him that there was something in Jane. He kept cutting her off and it annoyed me.
Odin is a very abrasive parent. That's the best way I can describe it. Hey, Josh.
It just felt to me that Odin was just acting so reckless. I mean, Thor was right. Why are you bringing them back to Asgard? Why do you want to bring the war to Asgard? I just felt like the Odin of the last movie never would have wanted that. But the Odin in this movie doesn't seem to care how many of his people are sacrificed when there's an alternative to avoid it. And I guess that's like my issue with Odin is that the last movie, he's all against war. He's all against people unnecessarily dying. And in this movie, it's like he and Thor like reverse characters. You got Thor as like the wise ruler, and Loki's the arrogant child. That's what it kind of came off to me in this movie.
Odin was in mourning and grief over the death of his wife. He wasn't thinking clearly.
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe I'm just being too harsh. Maybe I'm just being too harsh on someone who lost his wife, but I don't know. It felt to me that he could have used a little more common sense, and he didn't use common sense. And I
I'm not saying
don't
he
like.
did. I don't. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying that when he lost his wife, that clouded his judgment.
And that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Is that it does grief can make people do stupid things sometimes, and it made Odin act really stupid in this movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I liked him in the beginning. I liked the way he was sentencing when he was sentencing Loki. I like that Odin was there. He was respecting all life. He's saying like, humans and us aren't that different. We're born, we live, we die. That speech to kind of show why Loki's crimes had to be punished. Because really, if you think about it, in the first Thor movie, Loki didn't do anything that necessarily was totally irredeemable. Like, it felt to me that if Loki had changed his ways after the Thor movie, he could have come back from that pretty easily. The problem with Avengers is those events, when he killed all those humans, he couldn't come back. Loki couldn't come back from that. So Odin was at least valuing human lives there.
He is probably valuing human lives there, but he was actually valuing more Asgardian laws before anything else.
Yeah, but the laws are written to protect people. And in this case, the law was protecting Earth in a way.
Yeah. Well, because it's part of the 9 realms. That's why. You gotta protect the 9 realms.
Right. Good point. Yeah. So I mean, again, I do like Odin in the beginning, and I do like his final goodbye to Frigga. That foreshadowing that you can tell he still values Frigga as his wife. That he's not. I mean, yes, in the beginning, it kind of felt he didn't value Frigga as much when he wanted to speak to Loki alone, but later on, he does see Frigga as someone who's important, someone who does know, who's not just some person who's there to please him. Like, no, she's someone whose words matter, someone who should be who's mostly an equal to Odin. Not a complete equal. It does seem like the king definitely has more authority than the queen in this kingdom, but he definitely values Frigga a lot, and I really like that about Odin.
If you think about it, Frigga is definitely Odin's conscience. That's his backbone. That's who he really listens to more than anybody else.
And I guess so. Then when Frigga died, he didn't have his conscience anymore. So yeah, overall, I didn't think Odin was that bad. I mean, overall, I do have some
I think
issues
my
with
internet is
Odin.
fine, and I think Bad Dan's.
Oh, hold on. Let me see if it's me or.
Yeah, a little bit.
To protect people, and in this case, okay, I could. Can you hear me right now?
Perfectly, yes.
Okay. So, I guess you have anything else to say about Odin in this movie?
No.
Okay, let's go on to Loki then. So overall, what are your thoughts on Loki in this movie?
He went from being a scoundrel to actually going along with Thor's plan to setting up Malekith to even taking the throne like he wanted at the end of the film.
This is the
And
interesting
grieving
thing about
over
Loki.
the loss of his mother.
See, that's the thing about Loki, is that you never know what his true motivations are in this movie. Just in general, is that you think. So, like, again, Loki is kind of another character who in the first act was just kind of there, showing him getting arrested. He definitely had a lot more of an arc in the second act when he's helping when Thor breaks him out. And that's why, again, that's why I like Loki so much, is that Loki has layers. He's not someone who's all good or all evil. He's definitely more of an anti-hero in this movie. Is that he still wants, again, he he takes over the throne at the end and impersonates Odin, but in the beginning, he's in jail paying for his crimes, and then he does help Thor to break out. He could have betrayed Thor anytime. He could have cut off Thor's hand for real and sold him out to Malekith. And he probably could have gotten a deal. He could have ruled that way, but he still felt bad that his mom died, and he still wanted vengeance for his mom. And I do like that Loki does have some honor, that there is some degree of good in him for his brother in this movie.
As I said before, Loki's only like 99% evil, but there's always going to be a soft spot for him for Thor.
And that's why Loki's such a great character of death. And I love that scene in the hallway when he's impersonating these different people, and then he impersonates Captain America.
That was funny.
I think what they did, I looked this up somewhere. I think there's a video on YouTube. Is that I think they had Tom Hiddleston do that scene first, so that Chris Evans would have something to imitate when he did the scene. I think you can see this on YouTube if you look it up. There's like a scene where Loki's. But I guess overall, why I like Loki's arc in this movie is that it's like they really throw you off. Like, you think that he's finally redeemed himself. Is that you think that he's finally starting to see the error of his ways and become good. You think that he cuts off Thor's hand, and then he's like, and then him and Thor work together, and they kill. What was that guy's name again? They killed the guy who killed Thor's and Loki's mom, who killed Frigga.
The accused.
Yeah, that. He stops the accused, and he goes out like a badass, and then you think, oh, Loki died with honor, he redeemed himself, and then lo and behold, he's back on the throne again, impersonating. So you just never know what's going on with Loki.
Loki wants the throne. He wants the power. He always did.
Yeah. And he thought that he finally redeemed himself. And see, I don't know. I still go back and forth on that, whether or not I would prefer for Loki to have just died in Dark World and not be in Ragnarok or Infinity War. Or if I don't know. I'm going back and forth because I really love that. Because the problem is I love that emotional moment that Thor and Loki had there, where Loki dies and Thor's upset, and then it turns out it was all for nothing because no, Loki's alive and he's back to his old ways.
Yeah, Loki's gonna do what Loki's gonna do for Loki, but he will. There is a tiny little soft spot for Loki towards his brother. As much as he gets easily aggravated by Thor, he will stab at him and cut him and trick him and lie to him. But he doesn't want Thor to die. He just wants to torture Thor. But even at the end, he will do what's right.
Yeah, eventually. But so did you like Loki in this movie? Did you think they did exactly what they should do? Were there any issues you had with Loki?
No, I thought they did Loki better in this one than they even did in the first one. I actually enjoyed Loki's arc.
I can see that because I think the thing is the first one he was more of a villain, whereas this one, again, he has more character development in this movie. Sort of.
Yeah.
Till the end, but...
Yeah, definitely more than the Warriors 3, that's for sure.
Here's the thing about Loki. Unlike a lot of the other returning characters, it felt like at least he had a purpose in this movie. He wasn't there just to be there in this movie.
He definitely was able to fulfill the spot that he needed to fill, especially after the death of his mother. When Frigga got killed, Loki won't ever let you know how he feels. He'll hide behind every type of trick there is, but he knew what he had to do.
He saved Thor's life. He didn't let Thor die, and then we find out what happens to Odin in Ragnarok. But Loki does. I mean, I think what I like about Loki is that they show he does care about his family, even if he still has his mischievous ways, if he still wants to
Yeah.
rule Asgard.
Well, that's why they call him the Prince of Lies, because he's the Prince of Lies.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess now let's move on to Jane Foster. I feel like she was another character who I think improved from this movie compared to the last movie. I think her and Loki are those two characters, and I think what made Jane Foster better in this movie is the fact that she knew more, that she knew from the beginning that, hey, Thor and Asgard are real, this all happened. She's less naive and she's more. I mean, like I love the way she slaps Loki for what happened in New York.
Jane Foster in this one definitely played a more bigger role in this one than she even did in the first one because she had the ether inside of her. So she was a pivotal character in this whole film altogether, besides Thor and Loki. And that ether could have killed her. And they even knew it early on. And again, it was funny when she was in Asgard on that table and going and saying what she said, and Odin cracked me up
Called her a goat, basically.
when he said, "You don't belong here anymore."
Yeah, well, that's basically what she says. Like, is that any more than a goat's at somewhere else? And I love Jane's reaction when Odin sees him as this. He just thinks he's some normal civilian, and then when he finds out that he's the king, she's like, "Oh shit, I shouldn't have said that." And then he's all like kind of apologizing, not completely apologizing, but Jane is just I don't know. See, I think what really worked for me in this movie with Jane Foster is that she does more in this movie. That she actually helps at the third act. The way that she helps the Dark Elves get off Earth. She helps fight the Dark Elves on Earth. And I think that really helped. I think that really kind of helped her character a lot. Is that she actually helped with with the main threat. Because in the first Thor movie, she didn't do that. Because in the first movie, it was Loki, and the final fight was on Asgard, so she couldn't really do anything. Whereas in this movie, the final fight's on Earth, giving Jane a lot more freedom to do stuff, a lot more stuff that she could do to fight the Dark Elves. She was a lot more of a useful character in this movie. She wasn't just the love interest, but she actually had a lot more of a purpose in this movie compared to Thor, the first Thor movie. And the way that I loved her reaction, like seeing Asgard for the first time. Like, think about it. You're an Earthling seeing this advanced civilization for the first time in your life. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be phenomenal. And I think Natalie Portman does a really good job portraying this human who's experiencing something of this caliber for the first time. And you're back.
One more time. One more time.
Hopefully. So I guess. But so basically, I'm just saying, I think it just really helped in this movie that because the final threat was on Earth, Jane could do a lot more stuff compared to the last movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Although I did have an issue with Jane in this movie towards the end, though, when she got on Thor for no reason at the end. It's like,
What do you mean when
you
she
know,
got on Thor?
at the end of the movie, where that thing was about to fall on Thor before Eric Selvig used that device thingy to teleport it away with the convergence. But like she's just laying on Thor instead of dragging him out, dragging him away. It's like, what are you doing?
Hmm. I don't remember that scene.
She was just laying on Thor for no reason when that contraption was about to fall on them before Eric Selvig teleported it away.
That part I remember. That I remember that part. I just son of a bitch. How the hell I missed that?
It's kind of really quick is that Jane sees Thor lying on the ground, and instead of pulling him out of the way, she just lays on him.
I guess maybe she thought she was going to try to protect him by covering his body with her body, which makes no sense.
See, that was my only issue with her character, but other than that, I feel like they gave her a lot more stuff to do in this movie compared to the last movie.
Definitely.
And I love her attitude in this movie. I love the way that she slaps Loki for New York. I love the way that she doesn't really take anything from anyone. Is that she does stand up for herself. She's not just a defenseless damsel in distress in this movie.
Well, remember, she saw Thor twice when she first saw him again.
Yeah. So I guess you have anything else to say about Jane Foster in this movie?
No. We good on this one.
Okay, so let's move on to the main character now, Thor. Thor's character development is so great in this series, at least the first part of the series, is that you really see the lessons of the first movie carry over a lot more in this movie. Is that he is just someone who's trying to get better, someone who's trying to be a wise man, who's trying to protect people, help people. And when he's arguing with Odin, he's saying a lot of the lessons that Odin taught him in this movie.
One thing I liked about this movie a lot is when Thor had to clean up all the mistakes that Loki caused, in the first two films, because he's out protecting the Nine Realms. He's going from one planet to another to deal with the situations that Loki caused. And Odin says Thor has to clean up your mistakes.
Exactly. And that's what Thor's kind of doing in this, but at least it just shows that he does value human life now. He does value different. I guess they're not all technically human lives, but you know what I mean. For lack of a better term, we'll just say
Yeah, I
he
get it.
values all human life. And I don't know. See, I go back and forth on how I feel about him being hung over Jane Foster, though. Because if you think about it, it's been 2 years since he's seen Jane Foster, and he's known her for a day.
No.
You know
when
what I
you
mean?
fall in love with somebody, when you fall in love with somebody, then your brain and your heart work on two different levels.
I guess I wouldn't know about that as much, but I don't know. But other than that, though, I do like Thor in this movie because he has that character development. He really, you really feel in this movie he's becoming this better man. He's trying to become a better person, a better Asgardian, and learn and take the lessons he's learned from the last movie into this movie.
Yeah, he definitely did that for sure. I definitely noticed that a lot from the beginning as well.
So, what do you have to say about Thor in this movie compared to the last movie in Avengers?
I liked him a lot more in this one than I did even in the first one. Because I gave him more character development, which I'm always for.
See, I think that's what makes this. I think that's what makes this Thor so good in this movie is the character development, the way he learns and grows and builds as a person, as an Asgardian. So yeah, that's why I think Thor's such a great character in this, and I really like Thor in this movie. I think Thor is, and which is good because he's the main character. He's one of the highlights in this movie. I guess you have anything else to say about
Yeah,
Thor?
I'd agree with that. Sure. No, no.
I kind of move on to the tone of this movie. I guess. See, the reason why I think I give this movie a bit of a not as bad of a time is because I think the tone is better. I mean, I think the tone is what Thor should be. Thor should be this serious character, not this goofy comedy. So that's one thing I think Dark World has going for me is that it's a serious movie.
You definitely gotta have Thor this way. You cannot have Thor goofy. I mean, you can tell jokes in MCU, and the jokes had to be perfectly lined up with what's going on in a scene or whatever. I'm not saying it should be a jokeless film, but if you get to the level of Love and Thunder, you've crossed that. You've gone down that rabbit hole way too deep, and that's just way too far.
Yeah, and there's certain jokes that worked in this movie, like when Thor was trying to get the Green Witch and he had to get on the train. That was a bit of a chuckle, but it's not doesn't take me out of the movie. Like that's a joke that worked in this
Exactly.
movie. So overall, I
I
think the
agree.
tone is not an issue in this movie. I think out of issues people have, I think the tone was perfect in this movie.
Yeah, I thought the tone was just fine. I had no issue with that whatsoever.
So before we wrap this up, let's get to the story. I guess you start. What was your opinion on the overall story?
I actually liked the story a lot. Because it was definitely it set up what needed to be set up for all the characters, whether they were important or lesser characters that weren't not really so important, but that's besides the point. But to me the biggest flaw of the whole story was Malekith, the main villain, because he was so one dimensional, and they really needed to stretch his character out more because you don't
Yeah,
know
see,
his motivation. That was nothing more than a, almost like a plot device.
yeah, see, this is the issue I have with the story, though, is that I think and you've heard this with Malekith, is that because the villain doesn't have a clear motivation, to me, it does kind of mess up the story a little bit. Is that a basic story needs the hero,
Yeah,
superhero story needs the hero and the villain. If one of those fail, the story's not that good.
exactly.
So I think that was kind of my main issue with the story is that the idea is good, dark elves. The idea of it is good, but I think the execution of the story just didn't work for me because of the lack of a good villain. So kind of to wrap this up then, I guess what would you rate this movie?
Uh, hmm. I want to say an 8, only because I really couldn't stand how that Malekith was done. But I'm actually favor more of a 7. I don't hate it, but Malekith, there was just no story to him, man. It was just all bland. So I'm gonna have to say a 7. You know what? I'll say an 8 because I did like how Dora was done, Loki was done, Jane was done. Yeah, I'll say an 8.
And I would probably give it, to me, 7.21893 out of 10. Because again, I think the story didn't work for me because of the villain, and I think that kind of dragged. The villain didn't have a clear motivation, which for this story just did not work. So overall, it's not a bad film. It's not a terrible film, but I can see why people have its issues with it. So
Exactly.
overall,
Yeah, I agree with that.
I guess Socks, do you have anything coming up on your channel?
Again.
Okay, so I guess for me then, At some point, I'm going to try to get a Rebel Moon trailer up, hopefully this weekend. We'll see about that. To give my thoughts on Rebel Moon and the trailer, to talk about what I liked about it, because I saw that trailer, I loved it. So much great stuff to talk about. So many great things. And guys, and the link to Sock's channel is in the description. So please, guys, subscribe to his channel as well. And if you like what you've seen here today, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when a new episode is on. And I guess, Socks, do you have anything coming up on your channel?
No, other than me want to strangle the hell out of StreamYard for keep messing with me. I'm gonna find their socks and I'm definitely gonna rip them off when I'm done with them all together.
Well, hopefully you get that resolved. And guys, again, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bells for more unique takes and interesting thoughts. Any final words, Socks?
Ta-ta for now. I'm coming for you, StreamYard.
And on that note, have a marvelous day and have a bat-tastic day.